Hello and welcome to Training Tuesday, where we go through regular tips and tricks to help you build a professional life you love. Now, this week we are back and we are talking about the importance of change and being open to admitting you're wrong, right? Committing to the fact that maybe you've made a mistake on something. And while I think this is always a really important topic when it comes to professional life in general, I think it's particularly relevant now, especially with all of the protests and the upswell of support for the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, the reason why I'm talking about this today is because I saw a tweet a couple days ago from Rasheed Copeland, who is an author, his tweet said something along the lines of, it's okay to delete your black square on Instagram now that you know differently. And what he was referring to was obviously the Blackout Tuesday campaign that happened last week, all about people post saying that, they wanted to give space for Black voices and silencing their kind of feed. After reading and looking kind of more at a lot of opinions, of course not all opinions, but a lot of opinions from people of color, there was a large sentiment that I personally saw about this idea of essentially, right, like this isn't actually doing anything to change, and it's kind of optical allyship is the term of doing something to signal what your values are without necessarily doing the work. And so, well, we don't need to go into an argument. I'm not here to debate with you about that. I am here to say this is what he was referring to. This is the experience that he saw and then said, okay, so now that people are realizing after they posted these Blackout Tuesday posts, now that people are realizing, shoot, actually people of color are saying this isn't actually helpful in what we need to be doing. He was saying, well, if you realize that, it's okay to pull it down. And I think this is such an important concept as it pertains to that particular situation and experience within this movement, but then also I think this is something in general for life that needs to be a lesson for everyone, which is that it is okay to admit that you've misstepped. It is okay to admit that you did something wrong in the past because, right, as they say, when you know better, you do better. And so I think this is a really powerful concept and something that's often missed because so often you see people in a situation where they are just, right, everyone's out there trying to do their best, and the reality is you're going to make missteps, whether it be, right, in your way of dealing with race relations in the US or anywhere, or whether it be something when it comes to a choice you've made in your professional life or something that you tried that didn't work out well, right? Those experiences are going to be universal in many different facets of our lives. And I think his tweet made me think of the parallels of, yes, this is so true for both that exact situation and the larger conversation around, in general, it's important as individuals to do our duty, to continue to learn, and to know that if we've made a misstep, it's not us being bad, right? And I think a lot of the reason people are resistant to this, right, a lot of the reason why people don't want to admit of like, oh shoot, I thought that was the right thing, but I guess it wasn't, is ego, because that's what happens is as individuals, right, it's ego and our self-image and wanting to preserve that image of being flawless and not making mistakes. And instead, I want to remind everyone, myself included, because I always need the reminder on this as well, that once we know better, we can do better. And so our job is to do the best we can with what we know, continue to educate ourselves in all senses of the word. And as we learn something different, it's okay to say, hey, you know what? I really missed the mark on that. Or hey, you know what? I tried and it didn't work. Right? So I think in general, I wanted to impress on you today. I wanted to remind you about this, both in regards to that specific movement and the idea of being open to education and being educated, and also how you can apply this to everyday life, because we're all going to run up against things that we thought was the right thing and in retrospect wasn't, and that's okay, and that's our job, to be there and open to learn and to put our fragility to the side, to put our ego to the side, and instead be open to the lesson. So that is my tip for you today. I hope you are open to this lesson. And of course, I would love to hear from any of you if this really hit home, because I think to me it was something that I was reading along his tweet and I said, yes, this is a really important one for all of us to file away. So that's what I got for you this week. I hope you're all staying safe, staying healthy, and calling your representatives. And in the meantime, happy working.